In San Marcos, a Texas State University student died yesterday morning, the morning after his fraternity's initiation.
The Texas State Bobcat Marching Band will be shorthanded. 13 members face charges of hazing.
An autopsy report showed a shuttle bus hit Jordan Taylor and dragged her for more than 500 feet at an off-campus fraternity party Friday night.
The president has suspended all Greek life activities.
Conduct involving alcohol at the party where 20-year-old Texas State student Jordan Taylor died.
Police do believe that alcohol may have played a role.
Serving alcohol to minors and forcing them to drink and do other lewd acts.
It involves serving minors alcohol.
Hammered out of their mind because they were forced to drink alcohol.
Alcohol to a minor.
Alcohol may have played a role.
Another death of a student plague.
Issue we keep hearing about.
They had been drinking that evening.
Provided alcohol. Alcohol to a minor.
Alcohol related.
Alcohol is to blame.
The college dream. Parties, friends, fun. We take the next step to advance our education profile, expecting to have the time of our lives. We let go of the stress, the worries, the pressures, and refuge in habits. Some of these habits pose dangerous, life-threatening consequences that prevent us from attaining the goals we worked so hard to achieve. Here in our home, Texas State University, more than 1,800 students die each year of alcohol-related causes, and nearly 100,000 students find themselves victims of alcohol-influenced assaults each year. If not ending our lives, this limits our potential, affects our health, and diminishes our success. So what's being done to combat the problem? Today, we can see that the university's programs to prevent alcohol abuse by students have been ineffective in putting an end to the rising tragedy rates, and have instead caused for students to act out as a result of the strict nature of the policy enforcement. Texas State has withstood a potent reputation of party culture, which has equally been reflected in its history of alcohol-related convictions, accidents, and tragedies. Here's a not-so-short rundown of the history of the university's alcohol-related events. In May 2011, 3 students at a fraternity park drank themselves to oblivion and jumped from a window at the frat house. 19-year-old Christopher Williams suffered head injuries. 19-year-old Kristen McCreary suffered back injuries. 20-year-old Erin Ann Hicks suffered head injuries, was placed in critical care, and later passed away. In a similar accident, just 3 months later, senior John Patrick Fox fell to his death during an ill-fated climb atop Spiral Tower. By 2012, the university topped 30,000 students, and with growth, drug and alcohol-related deaths surged. In October 2013, 2 students were shot and killed. Less than a year later, a 20-year-old student drowned on San Marcos River after a day of partying and drinking. In August 2016, a 21-year-old Texas State student was returning home from floating the river, where she admits to consuming alcohol, when she was veered across the highway, colliding into a couple's car, killing a man and forcing the stillbirth of the passenger's unborn child. 2 months later, on October 30th, 2016, despite ramped-up police patrols due to a series of sexual assaults, 19-year-old Luis Alvarez was killed after being struck by a vehicle in front of the Texas State University frat house, where a fraternity-sponsored event was in full swing. That same weekend, 20-year-old Jordan Taylor was found dead after being drugged by a bus shuttling students to and from a large fraternity party. As abundant as these issues may already seem, Texas State's alcohol-related accidents continue to spur as they have throughout the years. Alcoholic accidents, suspensions, or tragedies have increasingly become more prominent as the university stands throughout time. We already heard that Texas State has consistently suffered from alcohol-related issues, but the most predominant conflict is found in hazing within student organizations. Hazing is defined by the university and state law as any intentional, knowing, or reckless act occurring on or off campus of an educational institution by one person alone or acting with others directed against a student that endangers the mental or physical health or safety of a student for the purpose of pledging, being initiated into, affiliating with, holding office in, or maintaining membership within an organization. 13 fraternities and sororities were issued penalties and suspensions in the last 3 years here at Texas State, some of which are still suspended for further years. Has a university penalty implementation really made an impact upon the problem? Here we see a Texas State student, sophomore member of Alpha Sigma Phi fraternity, who gives us a small token of insight into his world. In attempts of protecting his fraternity and himself, he preferred to remain anonymous for the brief interview. The fraternity member confirms that university policy has not been efficient in putting an end to the dangerous behavior occurring in his fraternity. So what exactly is the university doing about the situation? Aside from Texas State's mandate, state law provides penal sanctions in the event of a conviction of hazing. According to this law, enacted in 1987, individuals or organizations engaging in hazing could be subject to fines and charged with a criminal offense. The university takes a more lenient approach to the issue, as is seen here. Texas State University on-campus alcohol guidelines for sanctions. Under 21 possession, consumption of alcohol, possession, consumption in alcohol, free zone, hosting a party involving the illegal use of alcohol or making alcohol available to minors, public intoxication. Consequences are as follows. Alcohol education, $50 fee, parental notification if under 21, disciplinary probation, deferred suspension from the university, second MIP alcohol education, $75 fee, driving while intoxicated, property damage while under the influence of alcohol, endangering self and or others while under the influence of alcohol. Consequences are as follows. Alcohol education, $50 fee, deferred suspension from the university, parental notification if under 21, suspension from the university, expulsion from the university. Texas State's policy has remained unchanged since 1990, but alcohol-related accidents continue to occur. Through speaking with Professor Rivkin here at Texas State University, we found that through university policy, it is making it more difficult for students to feel comfortable in reaching out for information or help because of such strict regulation.
I think that, from the university's perspective, without invading student privacy, I think they do feel like there's very little that they can do. I think one of the biggest issues that we're struggling with is figuring out what kind of education is going to be most effective. Short of like a national changes in our laws, I don't know exactly what the college can do, but what it can do at least is it can encourage people to come forward and be able to talk about things and be able to, whenever you call a police officer on campus, you should, for something that's related to alcohol, they should, believe that if they're calling them for health reasons that they're not going to get in trouble. That is a good step, is having, developing that trust about what the university's priorities are, which are health rather than discipline regarding this issue. And I think that would be a good first step to developing better behaviors, but I don't know if that's necessarily done through education.
With the addition of its policies, Texas State also relies heavily on police forces to protect the life of our campus and San Marcos as a whole.
Mostly the cases that we deal with are just underage drinking, some of the things that happen with underage drinking. That's really seems to be the most that we come in contact with. We got a lot, MIPs are issued, some driving while intoxicated, stuff like that. I don't want to say it's common here, but it's some of the similar things that happen off campus.
Through student input, increasing alcohol-related accidents, professor and policeman input, it is clear that the university's stance and action upon the issue has remained ineffective as a whole in the eyes of the community. While the university offers several differing resources, such as alcohol and drug compliance services, or ADCS, community counseling, and informing through the Student Health Center, the university continues to enforce strict guidelines, which is causing for more students to have to go to dangerous extremes to not get caught and risk their stance at the university. Due to lack of time and flexibility with representatives within ADCS and the Student Health Center, we weren't able to attain their perspective on the issue, but we have their contact information provided on our website for further inquiries. For years upon years, Texas State has suffered numerous alcohol-related occurrences that have negatively impacted the affected individuals as well as their surrounding communities. As a whole, our small town of San Marcos. The college experience can be rewarding both socially and academically if approached responsibly and set within an open and trusting environment. What can we do to voice our concerns to the university? It's in our hands to make a change and achieve understanding in the university's eyes to showcase how their implementations hurt and help us as a whole.